In this episode, I am walking back to a Herculean struggle I went through soon after assuming charge as head of the Department of Geology, University of Kerala in the Karikottam campus. In fact, in 1999, on the 1st of January, I assumed charge as the HOD. One thing I did before taking over as the head of the department was I met Mrs. Menon to inform her that I will be taking over as HOD in the Department of Geology the next day, that is 1st of August. And in fact, Dr. Rajendran Nair had quit the head's job, head of the department job, 6 months before his retirement in January 2000. So, Mrs. Menon wanted me to do whatever possible as a HOD in order to create an endowment in the name of Professor K Menon, or let us say Menon sir, in the University of Kerala. For some reason, I thought that was the last option in order to honor a professor who was the founder professor of the BSc Geology department under the Travancore University in 1953 and under the University of Kerala in 1963. So in 1953, the Travancore University started a BSc Geology course, a 2-year degree program. And in 1963, a 2-year MSc program was inaugurated in the University of Kerala. I belonged to the first batch of students in the newly created Department of Geology under the university. Anyway, so I replied to Mrs. Menon that let me see if I can get an endowment in the name of Professor Menon accepted by the Geological Society of India. I knew very well in my mind, in the back of my memory, that B.P. Radhakrishna did not have any kind of regard toward Professor Menon as a great scientist. Anyway, these are facts, but they do play a role in influencing what you decide and how you decide. So on the first day, I did not do much. It was only, sort of inviting all my colleagues and staff in the Department of Geology and telling them that I will be there with wholehearted, entirely open to their suggestions on issues, as well as I expect all of them to cooperate with me in running the institution with much more, efficiency, and if you want to say so, and what is called importance to the society. So, toward the end of it, a meeting, munchies and tea was served to all of them. All those who assembled, and by that time, I had a small office in the building. In other words, there was a wall that was built between the space where Krishnanatha used to sit and where I used to sit with a new entrance, etc. And I had installed an air conditioner in my office right from the very early days. When I started the work on this project, river metamorphosis, etc. Okay. So it was a very wonderful atmosphere in this office. But I also announced to my colleagues and staff that I will not move over to where Rajendra sir is sitting. Let him sit there until he is, officially retiring. And then beyond that, we will decide what is to be done. And then August 2nd, I wrote a letter to Geological Society of India and addressed to Dr. B.P. Radhakrishna that, exploring the possibility of creating an endowment in the name of Professor Menon, and we are ready to pay 100,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees to create. That is the going rate those days. And you know what I got? After 15 days or so, I get a reply that there is no scope for creating any endowment at that point in time. Well, then I said, well, let me try again. That's all I can do. I sat down and wrote a long essay, 3-page A4 essay, processed in Word perfect. And then with a cover letter, I wrote to VPR saying that, sir, this is the geological contribution of Professor Menon had done, both as a professional geologist as well as an academician in the state of Travancore and later on in the state of Kerala. So BPR, after probably, he thought over it, and then maybe after the meeting of the council, he wrote back, the secretary of the Geological Society wrote a letter back to me saying that the Geological Society of India is not accepting any more endowments in the society. Look at the way it is told. 1 lakh rupees we give, and they say they don't want it. It is actually 2000. Or last quarter of what is called 1999. 1 lakh rupees it is. So then I called up Mr. Ramakrishnan, M. Ramakrishnan, who was the editor of the journal, one of the editors in Madras, and I asked Ramakrishnan whether he can be of any kind of help to me in making my request accepted by the society, accepted by the society in the sense, first of all, BPR's VP Radhakrishnan, as he is known as BPR. BPR has to accept it. If BPR accepted it, everyone will say, hail the boss. That's it. That decision is carried. So Ramakrishnan was those days living in Madras after retirement from the Geological Survey of India, and he spoke to me back saying that, Thrivikramji, you know very well how the society is run, and we are all there, we are doing our job, and we are actually following the boss. Whatever he says, that is our, our desire, and that is our viewpoint. So we don't actually, force anything on the president of the society for several reasons. One, he is actually a pioneer in the field of geological, professional geology in the South India. Number two, he is the key man who founded the Geological Society of India way back in, I think, 1957 or 58. Well, by the way, Professor Menon had served twice in the Executive Council of the Society. And I firmly believe that Professor Menon was one of the founder members of the Society. In other words, there was a meeting of so many of the leading geologists from the different parts of India that met in Bangalore, then decided that there is now a need for creating what is called a Geological Society of India in the line of the professional societies that work and function in other parts of the world, like the Geological Society of America or the British Geological Society, so on, like the national geological societies all across the world. So in that meeting, Professor Menon was a signatory and an attendee also. And even then, in other words, in spite of the fact that BP Radhakrishnan, BPR knew Professor Menon right from 1957 or so, BPR was in no mood to accept Professor Menon, in the name of Professor Menon and endowment, because this gentleman, this great man had some kind of a bias toward Professor Menon. Bias is that very simple. Professor Menon had not broken any sweat in the body or brain to do some good geology. Well, anyway, it is that's the way Professor Menon is considered by BPR. Well, BPR is a different breed altogether. He's a hard-working geologist. He has molded the Geological Society of India and also kept the Geological Society to be, deeply rooted to Bangalore and not to be taken over by the, North Indian group, who are also very active in the various universities and organizations, professional organizations. So that was the, so what is the alternative? And then I met S.C. Narayana, who was a member of the Council of the Geological Society of India. And during one of my official visits to KUSAT in the Marine Geology Department, I told, asked Radha, Narayana, whether he can be of any help in changing the mind of this great man. Well, immediately the answer was, sir, you know how that gentleman is. He's a great person, but it's very difficult to put things forward to him. And in order to change his mind, so I don't know, but I will definitely try. Why don't you send some kind of a write-up about Professor Menon? Then I said, I have already given one to Dr. Radhakrishna himself about a bullet statement, 3-page long, A4, word processed and word perfect, and so on and so forth. I said, I will give you a copy, send a soft copy, yes, to Narayana. Narayana was then a reader or a professor in KUSAT. Well, Narayana happened to be a sitting member of the Executive Council of the Society, and then therefore he goes to the monthly or bi-monthly meetings to Bangalore. Okay, that apart. So then, Rai Thakur was in the department. When I started sitting in the head of the department, Thakur was a wonderful fellow. He has a very cooperative mind. And anything that is good in the long run or short run, Thakur will not object to that. So Thakur had an idea that, tossed an idea whether shall we have some kind of an intercom in the department so that we don't have to walk up to the HOD's office in order to answer a phone call, etc. Then I said, it's a good idea, but how do we make the money? Well, then the suggestion was that we will create an Alumni Association. Well, that's a good idea. So let us say, I told, let us meet anywhere, somewhere in Trivandrum, because, it may be difficult for most of the guys to come out to Ajayvattam campus from different offices. So we met in a hotel room over a cup of coffee and discussed what shall be the name and what are the goals, etc., etc. So basically our immediate goal is to raise some money to create a intercom system in the department. Well, that is how most of things start. Big things come only through very small butts. So then, one of the things that points that came up for discussion is how do we restrict the membership? I was of the opinion that we will call this as the Geology Old Students Association, then hyphen in lowercase of the Department of Geology of the University of Kerala. So a name something like GOSAN, G-O-S-A-N, was identified. And Mr. M.P. Muralidharan, who was a Deputy Director General in Thrivikramji Geological Survey Unit, he was in charge of designing the logo, etc. He is a great artist, and I wish he can envision many things, unlike many other geologists. A very good cartoonist also. And this pace of movement is very fast. And then by January 2000, after retirement of Rajendra Nair, the GOSAN was inaugurated in the botany department of the University of Kerala in the Karivattam campus. I think Dr. Iqbal was the vice chancellor those days. He was the one who made the inaugural speech. And of course, one of the things we did was we honored the retired personalities, retired teachers in the field of geology as well as professional geologists. Everyone was given, as usual, what is called a ponnada. And that meeting, and of course, naturally, I, as the president of the association, whoever is the HOD of the Department of Geology, University of Kerala, will be the president of the association of KUSAN. So I said, in the short run, for the next 2-3 years, this is what our plan of work is, etc., etc. It was a good gathering. Our students came, and the students from the University College also came, where there was a postgraduate course. And the teachers came, and also those geologists who were working in the professional organizations, they also came. After the meeting, a thought occurred in my mind to take up the issue again with the BPR. in respect of creating the what is called the endowment in the name of Professor K Menon. You know what? I created a ploy for it. So I wrote a letter stating that we have created an association called GOSAN in honor of Professor K Menon. This is the association of the alumni of the Department of Geology of the University of Kerala. Because first batch came out in 65 and we are in 2000 then. So we have created a fund. We have a corpus of 1.5 lakhs with us. And what we want to do is we want to put some money away. It's in safe custody so that any association will be, when it is created, it will be very strong, vibrant, and looking for work. But when some people disappear from the active roles, most cases the association also will die off, become very morbid, and finally will breathe the last. But the money will be idling in the bank and it will go to the State Bank of Travancore those days. I know there is an association called the Geoscience and Technology Association created by Professor C. Karnakaran, and I was one of the secretaries before the association died. There was a fund of, a balance fund of 11,000 rupees in the bank, which went unutilized. And that became part of the bank's profit without any work. So this will be one of the tragedies that can happen to any new association. So my point to the Geological Society of India, and in particular to B.P. Radhakrishna sir, was that let the society keep 1 lakh rupees. And what they have to do is, so for safekeeping, they can put, it is their money, but what they have to do in return is, they have to give us 75% of all the interest accruing through the 1 crore deposit, 100,000 rupee deposit. And it is actually, GOSAN, I said, what is GOSAN? GOSAN is an association of the alumni of the Geology Department of the University of Kerala, created to honor Professor K Menon as a memorial to Professor K Menon, etc., etc. You know what happened? So when that letter was shot, well, after 1 month, maybe I think last week of March 2000, I think, I get a letter from the society. That letter was not signed by BPR. Instead, it was signed by the secretary of the Geological Society of India. What it read was, please forward a demand draft for rupees 100,000 in order to in the name of the Geological Society of India, so that an endowment in the name of Professor K Menon will be created in the society. The very same secretary had written to me in the month of December of 1999 that, I quote, resolution, some number. The meeting of this Executive Council of the Geological Society of India has unanimously resolved not to accept any more endowments in the Geological Society of India, unquote. Signed, secretary, etc., etc. See how the things have changed in a matter of 3 months, maybe. Yeah, within 3 months. So I took this letter over to Mrs. Menon, and she read it, and then said, Vikram, I can give you a check now. I said, no, madam, that is not what I wanted. All that I want is you as prescribed in the letter, you would get a demand draft from the bank favoring the Geological Society of India and cashable at Bangalore, in the whatever bank they have specified. So she said, that may take 2 or 3 days. I said, no problem. I will come here. Just call me, or I will come here. Well, 3 days hence. I went there after 3 days, and the DD was there, and I had forwarded the DD in the registered insured post to the Geological Society with a sincere request to acknowledge the receipt of the demand drafts. So, that is how Finally, an endowment in the name of Professor K Menon was created in the Geological Society of India. The same meeting of the Executive Council also decided to create another endowment in the name of Hari Narayanan, who was the director of the NGRI. In the same meeting of this Executive Council, two endowments were created, one in the name of Professor Menon, another in the name of Hari Narayan. And since then, once in 2 years, there will be an award of 10,000 rupees to the best paper published in the Journal of Geological Society of India in the area of sedimentology. And initially, very promptly, the Geological Society of India office in Bangalore used to communicate, who got the Professor Menon's family, then who got what the award that particular year. And since then they stopped. They also got tired of doing this. That is what happens to most of the organizations in our country. No organization shall reach the old age state. It has to be always in the youth to mature stage. If it goes to the old age state, doomed. I will come back with another episode later on. Bye.